Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Am I in focus? I think I'm in focus. So how are we all tonight? Got a few here ready. Sorry if there was some posts up that said that I was going to be late tonight. That was actually last week's repeated and somehow wouldn't let me edit it and change it. But not late tonight because I didn't have to go anywhere. We are streaming on the Facebook page and also in the Stitch with Helen group, I think, and also on YouTube. So if you are in the Stitch with Helen group, I can't see who you are, remember, unless you click that link I just put in there and give them permission to share your name so I know who you are. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Steph. Hi, Elizabeth, Denise, Cheryl. All here, all got your name in the winner's jar, the lottery jar. Hi, Wendy. Wendy, you new? I think you might be new. Hi, April. You might be new too. Don't recognise the name. So welcome. Facebook user. Okay, so someone just said hello from the Stitch with Helen group, and someone else just did, and that means I can't see who you are. So if you can click on that link above and give permission for Facebook to show your name, then I know who you are. Well, welcome, Wendy. I thought you might be first time. I might perhaps stop sharing to the Facebook group if you can't sort out these comment link showing me your name, because otherwise I feel like I'm just talking to a Facebook user, because that's all it tells me who you are. When I go into Facebook later, I can see who you are, but I can't through the platform because I'm not actually in Facebook. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to stream to YouTube as well. If you are new here, Jude, hello. I think you're new. Marilyn, you're not new. Welcome back. Hi, Linda. So if you're new here, the little down in the corner there, down in there is the little lotto jar, and every time you say hello or leave a comment, you get an entry. A little bubble goes down into the jar, and you've got a little entry in there to win a prize at the end. Hi, Jeanette. See, you just dropped into the jar. I saw you just drop in. So we have a little giveaway at the end. Hi, Catherine. Confusion last weekend. Missed that one. What that was? Maybe that was with Joe. Or maybe it was me and I just don't remember. Hi, Sue. Yeah, so and about where you are, but we've had some sunshine this week, which has been nice, but not much. Still very chilly at night, and we're forecast 100-kilometre winds tonight. Hi, Jenny. So we'll see if they come and wreak some havoc. But at the moment, it feels pretty still out there. And I did notice a full moon tonight, I think, or almost a full moon. Miss Matilda is home from Adelaide, so I had to take her out and drop her off at some friends, and saw that the moon was out while it was still daylight. Hi, April. I've already said hello to April, but April's here. Meredith, hi. Meet me at my Make and Take at AQC over the years. Okay. If I could remember your face and put a name to it, I'm sure I would remember you. But that's nice. I meet people all over the place, and sad to say my memory's not great keeping faces with names. But that's fine. I'm sure once I see you again, it'll all come back to me. Hi, Marg. Hope you're okay or you're well. All right. So nearly completed the Tomorrow Traveller. Well done, Jeanette. What did you do it in original colours? Hi, Carrie Lee. Did you do it in the original reds or your own colourway, Jeanette? I've seen lots of really nice Tomorrow Travellers. The story behind that one was I was going to Tomorrow to teach many years ago for a shop there, and so the project was all done and named and printed and everything, and she pulled out at the last minute. Something happened. So Tomorrow Traveller, never got to travel to Tomorrow. Hi, Gail. Hi. Starting sewing therapy with some girlfriends in the new year. Oh, okay. Yes, I know we've got a group ready. Wanted to start on the 1st of January. That'll be nice. I think we've actually run out at the moment. So Susie Jensen, did I see you here? I missed that. So you must have seen her somewhere. yeah, we've actually run out of panels at the moment, so we have to decide whether we're going to print a third run or not on the stitch therapy, because it's quite a big run and commitment. But we're looking into it. All right. Okay. So what have I got to show you tonight? Jo's not with us tonight. It's her anniversary. Happy anniversary, Jo. And unfortunately, she's in the kitchen cooking dinner, I think. Oh, yes, Catherine, we'll see you in December. Shame about Hobart, wasn't it? I have to say that Virgin, I had about 10 flights booked with Virgin, and they've changed them all. So it took so long to work out, to ring them up and work out what I wanted to change them all to. But you should know that if Virgin have changed a flight on you and you have got a non-refundable fare, you can call up and change or cancel at any time up until the date, I found out, and they won't charge you because they changed the fare. So it's almost a good thing if they have changed your flight, even if it's just by 5 minutes or something, because then they changed it from the original booking, and then they will honour that if you need to change it later. But anyway, that's okay. It means I'm coming to Adelaide a day early. So I'll have an extra day to land, get myself together and get organised. Cheryl almost finished the really big bag, just the binding to go. Excellent. I saw Karen, she sent me a photo this week. She added some pockets with the leftover fabric from the outside. She added some pockets inside to the lining, which was a really great idea. Okay. Hi, Tracy. All right. So let's make a start. I've got a few things here tonight in my pile. First of all, some show and tell from last week. Hi, Margie from Dunkeld. Hello, close to my home. All right, I'm going to switch to the overhead and show you. Remember our mod diamonds that we did last week? We started doing last week, and I'd forgotten to bring up my layout guide. So it turned out I'd had it completely wrong, totally, completely wrong, but I had to stick with it then because I'd already glued half of it down during the live. So now my design has changed. But it's okay, but it's not perfect. I need to work on that spacer guide, and I just need to work on a few more tweaks to get them lined up. They look like they're lined up, but when you start to do your straight line stitching, they weren't exactly 100%. So it's all about having your center lines and keeping everything straight and even. And I don't think I did exactly, probably because I was rushing to do it on camera. But it still looks pretty, doesn't it? So I've quilted just on the 60-degree angles. So I did use a blue pen and it's particularly marked out the ends here where it went off to make sure it was evenly spaced. And then I used the edge of my foot to get the other one. So I just marked one, and the edge of the foot literally went down the side of one row and caught that row. And then when I turned it around and went the other direction, if my edge of the foot was there, then it caught my other row. But I think it looks pretty cool. I was thinking I was going to do straight lines that way, but I am making this into a project, and in my head trying to work out how I'm going to make that. I need some straight lines in there later on. So, but I think if it was a table runner, if that was just bound and finished, that's gorgeous just like that. Don't you think? I think it's really pretty. So this is using the Tilda Cotton Beach fabrics, and it actually looks really pretty, I think. Well, I think it does. Hi, Janie. Who did I miss there? Yeah, no, I think it looks good. So I haven't got a backing on it because I said I'm making this into a different project. So I've just got the new Matilda Zone poly foam. So it's like the foam bag batting, but it's the poly foam. And I sprayed it on with a bit of 505 just to hold it. And then a walking foot, and did all my rows. But if you look really closely, you can see it's not 100% accurate. Depends how picky you are, what a perfectionist you are. But I think it came together quite nice. So that was mod diamonds or tumblers or 60-degree diamonds or 6-point stars. There's lots of names for that shape. But actually it looks really pretty, and it works just as well as the mod hexies. Then you might remember a while ago I was just playing with mod apple cores. So same thing, just glued on and then quilted. And I had literally was playing because I'd actually made a piece of fabric with all the selvages that we cut off, all the linens that we were cutting for kits. And so these are all just selvages, just glued down and then quilted through, which is why it's really effective, but there's quite a few loose edges there that I'll have to keep picking threads off. And then I was just playing with mod honeycombs. So that was just like a little runner, you may remember. I didn't know what to do with it. So I literally just sewed it right sides together into a tube, and then a little sewing magnet here. We've just got a heap of those in some different colours, which were nice, and just made it into a little clutch. So I mean, it could be a little clutch purse, or it could be a little sewing bag, could be a little what do they call them? It could be a knicker pouch, could be put your sanitary items in there for a pretty little pouch or whatever. But yeah, just that little pouch. So that just used it up for now because it was made with no intent, and so I really didn't have an idea on what to make with it. But it's worth making it into something so that it's usable. So it's pretty, and that's using Tilda Maple Farm fabrics, actually, that one. So yeah, again, I was just using scraps that I had with me when I quickly put that together without much thought at all, but it's nice to turn it into something. But I would actually do my quilting I'd mark it and do it much more evenly. There, that was pretty random. But yeah, it's pretty soft colours. So hi Karen, hi Chrissy. Did I miss anyone else? Oopsies, nearly forgot. You're obviously watching in the Stitch with Helen group, so I actually can't see your name unless you click the link at the very top and give them permission to show me your name. Hi, Rhonda, you've arrived. So there's a few new people there since I've been watching. Okay, so that's my show and tell of what I've made this week that I can show you. And then I'm going to go on to our Christmas projects for the week. And I'm going to go to, so you might be able to actually go, no, that's probably better, or that one. Okay, so then I can hold it up and I can hold it down. Does that work? Can you see that? Liz Sullivan, hi Liz. So this one is called Home for Christmas, I'm pretty sure. And it's just a little Christmas table runner. Now, these aren't new projects. They're some of my older ones. Now, these are some of the older ones when I was still using DMC threads. And can you see that little red tinge in there? Yeah. So I don't use DMC anymore because quite often I had these issues that it must have just gotten a little wet and then sat somewhere. And a little bit of bleed there. I haven't tried to wash it out. I could probably use a colour catcher and get that out, but other than that, it's okay. So it's just all red work, quite a bit of red work around there, stitchery, and some rickrack to turn it through, and a little bit of applique in the middle over our applique paper. And I'll just show you on the back. I really don't like when you have to sew something right sides together and leave an opening in the side and then turn it through, because unless it's a straight edge, you always get a little bit of a bump where you turn it through and slip stitch it closed, like on circles and round things like that. You always get that little bit of a bump, and it's really hard to get a perfect edge so you can't tell where your opening was where you turn it through and slip stitch it closed. So I have this little hack on things like this, and quite a few things like this, you do it quite often, is that I sew it right sides together and I don't leave an opening. I sew it all the way around so it's lovely and smooth. And in this case, I use the rickrack to help turn it through. And then I cut a little slit in the middle of the back and turn it through that. And then I just get another circle of my applique paper, fuse the fabric over it, glue it over, sit them on top of this, over the slit that I made, and then just hand applique that down. Covers your slit. As long as you got it nice and centered, it looks like it's meant to be. And then you've got the perfect fluted edge without a little crooked bit where you tried to slip stitch it without anyone knowing. So that's just my little tip there. Denise, what would I use instead? So I use Cosmo now. Cosmo's much better. I do use Cottage Garden too. So Cosmo 5006 and is a Seasons red thread that I designed and they made for me in the same, basically the same color as the 112 DMC. And then there's the 1007 Hugs and Kisses red from Cottage Garden Threads. Now that can bleed as well, but that is just excess dye that wasn't set. So they tell you in your instructions that just wash that again and all that excess dye will come out. Hi Karen, hi Gidget, hello. So yeah, that's the thread that I would use that I use nowadays instead of DMC, because I just had too many horror accidents with this red. Red's always the hardest color. You can sort of pre-wash them and soak them in salt and vinegar and everything first if you want to, but I'm never that organized. I want to get straight to stitching. Hi Wendy. Okay, so that is home for Christmas, and I'm just going to, I will put those, add the links in there if anyone's interested. So that's that one. And this is part of a set basically that all started with the, I'll just hide that again. All started with the 'Twas the Night quilt I'll show you in a minute. Now this one is Santa's sack. It's quite big and long and jingly. It's this lovely big Santa sack here. I will just, we'll put it on here. So if I hold it sideways, there's this gorgeous big, it looks like one of those cat tunnels, you know, the cats go and play in. But yeah, but it's actually a nice big Santa sack, and it's actually got boning in all these levels here, so it actually collapses down just like the cat tunnels, and it's got like boning in each of these little sections here, just to keep it shape. It's gorgeous little big Santa sack. And when I say boning, you can just get the strapping, you know, the plastic strapping that they use on pallets and boxes and things like that. So you can just use that. You just keep that when you're throwing out all your packing and your rubbish and everything, and use it for like boning and things like this. So it gives you that really nice little bit of structure, so you can see it in here. So this one's got a jumbo rickrack, and it's got red work in the middle section, and then it's got stars. I've got a feeling they're foundation piece stars actually, those ones in the top and bottom section, and they're just red and white. They are Christmas fabrics, but we'll just use any red and white. And so that's the Santa's Stop Here sack. And then the next one in that series was the Jolly Old Santa table runner. So again, same fabrics. It's about just over 1 metre long, so it'll sit down the middle of a nice big dining table or a sideboard, and it's got the little red rickrack trim in there. Comes in around underneath the binding, so it's like putting a piping under your binding, except it's rickrack. And then it's got the red work at each end again there, so it's the same one, just repeated at both ends. So if I go, let's see if I can show you most of it at once. So that's the Jolly Old Santa table runner. Where can I get home for Christmas pattern, Joan? I just put a link in the comments, and I'll put the link for the rest of them up there in a minute as well. I'll just do one at a time. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to the website where you can order it. Hi, Sue. Hi, Helen. Who else just arrived? No one. Oh, the Gidget. The shop was hard to get into. Do you mean parking-wise it was hard to get into? Was it maybe you were there at school time or something? But just go around the side. There's always parks at the side on Burnett Street. And you should always be able to get in there. Okay, another one in the series. This is the 10 Christmas Wishes tree skirt. So it's a big tree skirt, as you can see. So it'll cover up like one of your large Christmas trees quite nicely. And it has all these little elves. So again, red work. So it's got 10 little elves. I think there's 5, and they're repeated once each. So this one with a big long hat with his legs crossed. Sorry if this is upside down for you. Here's one here with these little presents. Again, legs crossed and a little present, and this one here. And then I think, oh no, maybe they are all different. So here's another one here, dancing elf with angel wings. And no, now I think we're repeated. So 10, 5 different elves repeated as we go around. And they're just different light background, tone-on-tone backgrounds. It's got the same rickrack detailing around inside the binding there. And then just different reds that read red and reds that read white fabrics that go with it also in the center there. So that one's called 10 Christmas Wishes. And they're all part of the series that started with the Twas the Night, the Twas the Night quilt, which is a little block of the month, mini block of the month quilt here. So this is quite an old pattern. I've just revamped the patterns, but it is, this would be my best-selling pattern ever. I would have sold more of the Twas the Night than anything else ever as a block of the month. And as a block of the month, it came with the iron-on transfers, the foundation papers for the foundation piecing, and then the rest was just normal machine piecing. So it's got all the verses on there again, done in red work. I'll turn it up the right way for you. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and all through the house. We've got a little mouse here in bed. Got the elf here. Stockings. Saint Nick and the fairy. And then the little houses with the stars in the night sky and the Christmas wreaths. And as I said, it's a little block of the month. It's an 8-part block of the month. And it just takes 5 fat quarters of reds and 5 fat quarters of whites. So it's a really easy one to, well, reds and whites. Reds that read red and reds that read white, basically. And then there's just the tone-on-tone background. So that's called Twas the Night Before Christmas. Again, it's all using the variegated red thread. And that's a little block of the month quilt. So, Chrissy, you have lovely red fabrics on your work. Hard to find nice Christmas look. Look, this was an old Bunny Hill range from years ago, and I've never been able to find, a line to replace it with and redo it in that's quite as soft because we've had reds and whites since, but not quite the same look. You're right, Chrissy. It's hard. Yeah. Okay, so that's Twas the Night. So I'm just going to drop all those links in for you. So Santa Stop Here, 10 Christmas Wishes, Twas the Night, and Jolly Old Santa. So all those links are now in. And we will just hide that one. Okay. Oh, can everyone hear me? Maybe, yes, I think you can still hear me, can't you? Yes. Just check if there's any more messages there. Okay, no, I think that's it. Okay, so what have I got to show you next? So the next thing I'm showing you, because we're in the Christmas run, is our stitched wood range. So I might just put the overhead on. Where's my overhead here? So first of all, we've got this one here. It's just a little heart shape, and it's been pre-lasered and pre-cut. This one's been laser engraved, and it's got little holes that you can do the flowers and little French knots. Plus, it's got holes for French knot in the center, for cross stitch in the center. So that's a simple starter one, nice little gift. I probably should have glued a heart of felt or something on the back to cover the back if you don't like that, but otherwise that is a nice little one. But then we have a little Christmas set here that has 6 different designs in it. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so this little set comes as blanks, as laser blanks, and you can embroider them or cross stitch them any way you like. Okay, so you've just got to work it out. It's not hard to work it out. And I've just got a thread there somehow, it needs to be cut from the back. So these ones, if you can see, I've added a little bit of, I've used a variegated red thread, so probably my 5006, or it could have been Cottage Garden. And I've added a little bit of gold thread to it. Can you see that gold on there? Let me see if I can find this one. This one you might be able to see better. See that little bit of, oops, where's my camera? A little bit of gold highlight on it. Bit hard to see, but there is actually some metallic gold thread in there. Don't have to do that, but you can play and do whatever you like. So that one is the red, and then where it's a bit lighter, it's a metallic gold. Actually, that's it's a metallic gold, but it's like a black core with gold metal on it, so it gives you that black sort of goldy sort of look. So again, this one's just one plain color, and it's just completely stitched. This one's just got a little bit gold in the middle, and again, one plain color completely stitched. Now this is a version that we did at ASA last year or the year before, and so it's on white, and I've used black with gold, like a gold thread to put some highlights on it. But again, everyone did something different, and they all looked lovely. You just can see the gold long stitch highlights on it. Okay, Facebook user that said, hope you could see me tonight. No, I still can't. You're still Facebook user, so you must be watching on the Stitch with Helen group, and you haven't got given permission to show me who you are. It might be the owner, is it? But no, I still can't see you. If it's that link's not working, I'll have to get onto the platform and let them know that it's not working and they need to fix it. So I thought I'd just show you how to make a start on doing this, because that's a lovely little set of tree decorations or Christmas gifts, or even little things to do at your Christmas stitching meeting and things like that. Okay, so I recommend about 3 strands of a stranded thread or a pearl. You can do 3 to 4, but if you're doing cross stitch and you're going to go through each hole 4 times, it's going to get quite tight. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit. Let me just zoom in a bit. All right, you can see me. I just have to try and stay on camera. Okay, so Facebook user, am I visible? No, you're not. So obviously clicking on that link, giving permission, still isn't working if that's for you, Fiona, or whoever it is. Pop over to the Hugs and Kisses page and I'll be able to see who you are. Instead of the group, go to the page. All right, so 3 strands, 3 or 4 strands, and I just use a Hugs and Kisses stitchery needle. So that's just a crewel number 7. So the holes have all been designed, the whole things have been designed to work with that needle and that amount of threads. I like to start with an away knot. So I've knotted my thread and I'm just going through the front somewhere. And then I'm just going to come up to the top where I want to start. And like with any cross stitch, you're going to go all in one direction first. So I'm going to come up and go down. I'll just try and keep it on the screen there. And then I'm going to come down to my next row. Do I need to go even closer? You might be able to pinch in and go closer on your phone, but I'll go in even closer. It's just hard to keep it on the screen then. Okay, so, and if you can't see, you can just turn to the back, or you can just keep stabbing around till you get the right hole. But I'm going, just like with normal cross stitch, I'm doing all my slanting forward stitches first. And then I will come back and do the other side of the cross. So it's just like cross stitch, except you're doing it through wood. And as I said, you can decide to do some in a different color and work out a different design. You don't even have to stitch all the holes. You can leave some empty. Okay, I'll just go back now and do the other direction while we're here. So I need to be here, and I'm going the other direction. And the 3 strands just gives it enough thickness to actually fill it with color, so it's not too empty. But if you go too thick, by the time you go through each of these holes 4 times, it's getting a bit tight to get the needle through. Good thing is you don't need a hoop because you've got a nice solid wooden base there that's not going to stretch or give. Okay, so I've just stitched that top section there, and you can see that that's nicely filled with stitches, my cross stitches in both directions. And because I've got this away, and by the time I've stitched down a few more rows, I'm going to have stitched through all, stitched over that thread all the way. So then I can just snip that knot and just pull it through to the back. To finish off a thread when you're running out of thread, I simply take the needle and slide it under as many stitches as you can. There's no give, of course, because it's on wood, so it can get a bit tricky. If you can't manage to pull it through, then I have found like a pair of hemostats or the nurse's clamps that I have to use for a lot of things. You can get those and just, or even a little pair of pliers, and pull your needle through with that. Hi Gwen, bit late, that's all right. I know, Andrea, I have not cross-stitched for 30 years probably. Of course, it was like everyone, it was the first thing I learned. So I literally, when I was doing these, had to relearn how to do it. But yeah, they come up really effectively, and they're quite quick, mindless. You can just use up your thread scraps, doesn't have to be anything in particular. And you've got all these little gifts. And there's the black and gold version on the white. It's hard to see the gold, but if in real life the light would catch the gold, and you can just see the little hint of the gold, which just makes it a bit more Christmassy, but not actually necessary at all. Okay, so they are our little cross stitch ornaments. I'll just add the link in now. Exactly, Cheryl. Lovely to pop into a Christmas card, or even use it as your gift tag, you know, on the gift. So you can, if you wrap your presents in paper and wrap them up with ribbon, you can just tie your ribbon through the little hole there, and actually add that as onto your ribbon when you're decorating your gifts. So yes, same idea as me, Elizabeth. Exactly. Nice gift tags. Yes. And something that's usable, doesn't get thrown straight in the bin. So that is those. Now, I had one more thing to show you by request. And that is Donna asked if I could give some ideas on how I label my quilts. So I'm just going to show you a few examples first. And I noticed one on the back of this Twas the Night. Oh, I thought I saw one on the back of the Twas the Night quilt. Okay, let's switch to overhead again. So you can see how old this one is and how faint it is. So that was actually written on there using a brown Pigma pen. And they're meant to be really permanent, so I don't know if it was light to start with or if that actually has faded over the years. But you can see that is actually really quite light. And where's my camera? There, quite light and faded. Now, I don't remember if I just hand drew that or whether what I sometimes do is I print it out and put it on a light box and underneath and then trace over it. But I'd say I just hand drew that. I'm just going to zoom back out now so I can show you some more things. Okay. So there's one, just using a Pigma pen, writing directly onto your quilt backing. And you can either do it by hand after it's quilted, or before you quilt it, print it out on just in Word or something and print it out from computer, put it under your fabric with a light box and draw it on there and then quilt it in. You can see this is actually a pieced backing on this quilt. So the quilt actually used all the leftovers that wasn't used on the front, and it was just pieced. So that's a bit busier than normal. Now this one here, this quilt here, was the very, very first quilt that I finished. And it was when I was just learning to quilt. And it was all hand quilted. And it was made, so this was in 1995. It was made from all Actyl furnishing curtain fabrics. And then a few cotton fabrics as well. And then I hand quilted it. So it was really hard work. And obviously I decided that my label was just going to be embroidered, and it says number 1. So I must have done number 1 for my first ever quilt. 96, because I started in 95, but obviously I didn't finish it till 96. And then I just put my initial on it. And I've just embroidered that in really bad stem stitch. Because I thought there would be a label on the back as well, but there's not. So once my memory goes completely, I'm not going to remember this very first quilt that I ever finished. Not the first one I started, but the first one I finished. I'm not going to remember the details of that, so I probably should still go back and label that one. This one had all these, because I was more of an embroiderer, remember, not a quilter eventually. Hi, Sylvia. And so it had all these blocks, so candlewick blocks, trapuntoed, and bullion roses in the hundreds and thousands on there. So, you know, never do anything in halves, you know what I'm like. So that was my very first label. This one was my first block of the month project that I sold, that I made and sold. So it was called Fairy Kisses. And as part of, I'm just going to reverse the camera, mirror the camera so you're not looking at it backwards. So as part of the block of the month, and the last month they actually got and the blocks were all screen printed on fabric, so they actually got this one screen printed on fabric. And the quilt, if you know it, Fairy Kisses, I can try and show you in a minute, is all color-cade. So the label was also color-cade. So what I mean by that is it was screen printed onto the fabric, the lines, and then I've colored penciled, so color-cade with color pencil over it, and then I've sealed it, and then I've backstitched around it. But I did all that, completely finished it, and then I appliqued it onto the backing fabric before it was quilted. And this is actually the most secure way to label your quilt. If you can remember and be prepared to actually do your label and applique it onto the back before it's quilted, then it's actually quilted into the back, and it's very hard if someone pinches your quilt for them to get the label off, because otherwise they can just remove the label and there's no proof. No one's ever going to know it wasn't theirs. So that's another way of doing it. So I can see here, so the actual screen printed obviously just had stitched by in the year, and you had to add in your details. So I've just used a Pigma pen and put my name, where I was living at the time, and the year that I finished it. Otherwise, everyone's quilt would have been made by me living at Waniasa in Canberra. So that is that one. And if you remember, it's called Fairy Kisses. If you remember the quilt, if you've followed me for a long time, it's a huge quilt, so I can't really show you, but I'll just show you a bit of it here. How times have changed, how design style has changed over the years. But it was this. Okay. So it's a very large quilt. And it was all done using colour K. So that was like colouring pencil and then hand embroidered around it, or hand stitched around it. So yes, Steph, you should definitely put a label on the back of your Allen hair. Definitely do that. Okay, so that is called Fairy Kisses. And I'll show you a couple of others that I've found. So this one here is, let's go back to overhead. So this one's just it's Victorian Virtuoso. So it was a colour K quilt. You can see the front of it there. It's got all little Swarovski crystals and that on it. And then my label here. So I've, again, on my computer, just in Word or something, you can do it. I've designed my label, printed it out just in black, and then I've just put some white fabric over the top on a light box, and I've traced it all over it. So this has actually got, must have been, I'll pull that off. That was, how you have to cover a label when it goes in exhibition. So what I tend to say to put on a label, and it's up to you what you have to put on there, but obviously you want to say who made it and the year you made it. It's nice to say where you were living. The whole idea of a label is down through the generations. People, one, you remember, because I know my memory is terrible, but also through the generations, people, when they find quilts and collect antique quilts and that, this is how they go back in history and learn about people in times gone past. That, or if you're giving it to someone, what it was made from, or even if you want to remember what batting and that you used, then you can put that in it. But it for people who you're giving it to, so they know what it's made of, so they know how to care for it. You can put care instructions on there if you want to. You can put as much or as little as you like, but at the very least, put who made it, if possible, who designed it. So if it was your own design, definitely put that. If it was someone else's, it's up to you, but it's probably quite nice to say the name of the design if it was someone else's, and or the designer, where you were living at the time, when you started and finished it. It might take you 10 years or 20 years to finish a quilt, so it's nice to say when you started and finished it. This one I've said, so I've got design, colour-coded and machine quilted by Helen Stubbings. If someone different quilted it, then put that in there. Of Hobart, Tasmania, January to March of 2007. Design inspired by a glass door etching, which it was. If you've done my From Stone to Cloth class, you understand that. And 100% cotton fabrics, oh so soft poly batting, double layer, Orifal threads, 28 and 40 weight, superior masterpiece thread, and Swarovski hot fix crystals. So I put all that on there. Now you may ask what I've used. So I have got this lovely tin of pigment ink Fabrico pens. And I got an email this week actually of a new brand of pigment ink pens with a brush tip and a fine tip. I can't remember what the brand was now, but there's a new range out. But these are the Fabrico ones. I've got the whole range here. So I used that to do the blue, to match the blue in my quilting and my colouring. So instead of pencils, I've used a pigment ink texture basically. So it's not going to bleed and it's not going to wash out. And then I've just used a Pigma Micron pen to trace on the light box. So if you're a good handwriter, you can do it without printing it, but it certainly is nicer if you just print it. Choose a font that's fairly thin and put it on your light box and trace it. Okay. So that's that one. And then I've just obviously just pressed under the edges and slip stitched it or appliqued it on, but it's not quilted into it because I didn't think of my label in most cases until I've completely finished. So I'll just show you the front again for those that want to see it. It's not a pattern, it was a class, and it was in a book. Can't remember the name of the book. It was quite an obscure publishing company asked for this one. I'll just switch to front and I can show you a bit more of it. So there's another one. There's that one there. And can you see the crystals? I'm not sure. Okay. So that's another label. Now this is another one. It's a huge quilt, so I'm probably not going to be able to hold it up. But we'll switch to here and I will show you the label. I have to put it upside down because it's really big. Okay, so this one, it's actually a tea-stained piece of fabric because I think I tea-stained it all on this quilt. This has got magnificent quilting on it from Tracy, my sister. And again, what I've done on this one was I used an iron-on transfer, which I'm fortunate enough to be able to do. I know other people can't do that unless they've got very specific ink. And then I've gone over with the black pigment pen where it's really sharp, and then I've color-keyed and backstitched here. But here I didn't trace over my transfer writing, and you can see how it's faded. So I might actually even do that tonight when I'm finished while I can just still see it, because, 100 years from now, you're not going to be able to see that. And there goes the history of this quilt. So there's a lesson for you. Iron-on transfers, whilst they might not wash out, they do fade over time. Okay, so I need to go in with my pigment pen and trace over that. Karen, which beautiful quilt, the blue one, the Colour K one, Victorian Virtuoso. It's really hard to do a pattern because it's basically a whole cloth. But yeah, anyway, and this one was called, what was it called? Belle of the Ball, but it's absolutely massive, so it's a bit hard for me to hold it up. But I'll just show you where a bit of the Colour K was, because I thought it was really pretty and I put so much work into it. And Tracy quilted it so beautifully, but it's really soft, but it never really sold as a pattern very well. Too much work, I guess. It just scares people. There must be, I would say, something in the middle. Yes, here we are, something in the middle. And we see that center block there. Really soft and pretty. So a bit of applique, a bit of Colour K, and amazing quilting on that one. Oh no, just look down and see Bentley's completely de-stuffed his bed. Okay, then one other option, which I do quite often, is here we are. So I've designed a shape that matches the front. So on this one, it would have this shape on the applique on the front. And then so I've used one of those shapes, just cut out another piece of applique paper, the same shape. It's not that one, but it's one on there somewhere, be in there somewhere. And then again, I've printed it on the computer. I've put it on a light box. I've traced it on. Then I've fused it to my applique paper template, glued over my edges, and then appliqued it on. This one I've got Singin' the Blues, designed and made by Helen Stubbings of Hugs and Kisses, Hobart, Tasmania, Australia, December 2018. Quilted by Tracy Branningham, Constantine Quilts, Kadena, South Australia, January 2019. Basically Hugs fabrics. Okay, so it was a quilt to show off my fabrics, so I actually wrote my fabrics on there as well, but I didn't obviously write the type of batting. I didn't sort of add all that extra information on this one. So I guess you depend on what you put on it, depends on what you made the quilt for. If it was just a quilt to be used on a bed and be washed a million times and it's just going to last the life, to be dragged around by the kids and be used, then I would just put who it was made by and who it was for. So, for your granddaughter love grandma or something like that, and that's fine. If it's a work of art that you want to stay in the family for generations, then I would put quite a bit more information on it. If it was a quilt that you're giving as a gift, I would probably put a little bit more information on there on the type of fabrics you've used or how to care for it, particularly if the person doesn't is not experienced with quilts and how to wash it and things like that. Or you can just put that in a separate card or something that you send with it. But yeah, depending on the type of quilt, what its end use is going to be, how much work you've put into it. But yeah, I like, Susan, yes, I like the shape label as well. Quite often I will choose a shape from the front of the quilt, and it might be, I might do a little shield sort of shape or something like that. In fact, it's probably something that I could just do a whole heap of random shapes and either offer them in our new Easy App range of pre-cut papers, which I was going to show you tonight, and I haven't brought it up to show you, so that'll be next week. Or I could do a download that you can print onto applique paper sheets you've got at home, just so you've got them. But yeah, the shape labels are nice. Marg, if you do a quilt example, challenge quilt, do you put a label on it? Funny you should say that. I was actually going to, my challenge quilt tonight, or the mystery quilt, I was going to use to demonstrate tonight to put a label on it, because I don't know what's going to happen to that quilt. Look, Marg, I probably would, because even if it's only how to care for it and what fabrics you use and how to care for it. I know a lot of people don't, because, for example, the challenge ones are just going to the Hope in a Suitcase kids. But I think it would be nice for that child to actually know the name of the person that made that quilt for them and wrapped them in love, and where they came from. So, even if you just sort of said, I wouldn't put all your address details or anything on there like that, but, if you just said Marg Hobart or something like that, or Tasmania, yeah, I think that would be quite nice. So yeah, it's totally individual. And I was looking for quilts to show you labels tonight, and noticed that half of mine aren't labeled, so don't get around to labeling them. If it's something that I'm going to exhibit, or I've put a lot of special time into, I generally do finish it off with a label. But if it's just a run-of-the-mill shop sample or something, I most often don't. I should, because I should write everything on there so I remember if someone asks for the fabrics or the kits 10 years later. What fabrics were those? And I don't remember, so I probably should. Ornaments, they're on the website, Sylvia. Yes, I put the link in the chat before, so if you scroll back up, you'll find the link to the ornaments. Is there any links that I haven't added in? The stitched heart. Oh, okay. So, and the other thing I've got, I told you about the transfer, but the other thing you can use is there's lots of different products around. If you can't do anything on, like you don't like tracing or anything like that, you can now get different products that you can just put through your inkjet printer. So you just design something on your printer, on your computer, just in Word or whatever programs that you like to use, and then you can just send them to an inkjet printer. So this one is an iron-on inkjet printable fabric. So it's just a piece of fabric on like a sheet of freezer paper. Basically, it's just like a carrier sheet. You can see this one's shiny though. This is an iron-on one. So it's just got like a white cotton fabric fused onto it. And you feed that through your inkjet printer, not a laser printer, because that uses heat to set it, and it's just going to melt your glue. Print it, and then you leave it to dry 15 or 20 minutes, and then you peel the backing off, and then you fuse that onto the back of your quilt. Now, I haven't used the iron-on one. It'll be something like steamer seam, I'd say. So I don't know how well that does hold. I haven't used the iron-on one, but I have used just the normal one. So the iron-on one comes in a pack of 3 sheets. The normal one without the iron-on comes in a pack of 5 sheets for the same price. And I've used that for all my photo quilts. So it prints really, really nice photos, really nice, crisp, clean photos. Well, as good as what your file is, it prints it really nicely. So if you remember you may remember one I did for my mother in memory of Dad when he passed, and it had photos all over it. And I used these sheets, not the fusible ones, just the normal ones. And then because I want a turned edge applique. So I printed all my photos on them, cut them out, and then I had circles of my applique paper that I've used on the back, turned the edges over, and then appliqued them onto the quilt. But for a label, you could just use the fused one. So it's going to be like raw edge applique, or like just using Glyzafix. So you're printing it through your printer, and it's a special infused fabric that makes a normal ink in a printer more permanent. It does say on here that if you want to be for better color fastness, prepare 2 to 3 liters of water at around 35 degrees and soak for 10 minutes before gently rinsing, and that takes off all your excess ink. And it does say recommended for projects not requiring frequent laundry. So I would assume, like anything, it might fade a little bit over time, but we don't, unless it's a throwaway quilt that you're using all the time. Good quilts we don't actually wash that often. Maybe once a year you give it a little wash, if that. And there are other projects as well. So other products. This one's an iron and press, print and press, iron on print and press, transfer sheets for inkjet printers. I haven't tried that one, but we have had that in the shop. It's not on the website, but it's in the shop. And then this one is another one, sewable inkjet fabric sheets from EQ. So again, cotton, and you can see used for photos and then used in quilts. So that one's got, how many sheets has that got? 6 sheets. So there's a few different brands, but that is another way of doing your labels with products like that. I possibly wouldn't bother for labels, but definitely if you want to do photos and photo quilts, then those Matilda's own ones, these ones I've more recently have found do beautiful photos. So I just put 2 requests for Snuggly Bug quilts out today, if anyone's on our Snuggly Bug list. And one of those, they've requested that the little girl's photograph is on it. So I'm going to make that block, and I'll use those sheets to get her photograph on there. Because I have the product here, so I'll do that. So yeah, that's just different ways. As I said, the Fabrico pigment ink pens, if you want to get color on it, or Color K. So you colored pencil, seal it with the medium, and either pen stitch or actually back stitch around it to get those nice fancy headings. Different pigment ink pens, so there's different thicknesses, there's different colors you can get in the Pigma pens and different brands, but as long as it's a pigment ink, so a permanent fabric ink that's not going to bleed when you wash it, not going to wash out, not going to bleed, and also not bleed when you draw on the fabric, because some of them, when it's more of a text like a Sharpie, they actually bleed out through the fabric. So there's a few ideas for labels. It's a bit say as I do as I say, not as I do, because I will tell you, make sure you label all your quilts, but as you've just heard, I don't get around to doing a lot of mine. So any other questions? Let me see if there's any other questions there. I don't think I've missed any questions. A lot of food for thought. Yeah, I've probably raved on a bit there. But anyway, that was just a few that I found downstairs today to just show you some ideas. Yeah. Okay, so if you're new here and you haven't heard about it, the little, let's go, our little, just going to hide those. Hang on, I'll just put the links in for those sheets. Hide that. Okay, so our little lottery jar down here, there's lots of entries in there, lots and lots of entries in there. So I won't forget to draw that. Sometimes it's a bit hard for me to see, so I'm just going to hide this comment and then click Get a Winner. And remember, you have to be here to win, so you had to have stuck with me to the end. And unfortunately, if you're a Facebook user that I can't see your name and it picks you out, that's not going to help either. Okay, let's go get a winner. And the winner is Caroline Shepard. Are you still here, Caroline? You still with us? Oh, I just needed a comment. Oh, she might have dropped off. I'll give you a minute, Caroline. Are you still here? Just put a comment in if you're still here. If not, we'll redraw. Oh, you're still there. Well done. Okay, Caroline. So if there's anything you need to order, just do that and we'll add it to it. Otherwise, just touch base with Jo with your address. I know we've got it, but she's not listening tonight. So just email or message her. Email's probably best. Tell her that you won tonight and your address. And if there's anything else you needed, and she will package it up and get it to you. For those that that snaffled one of our 12 days of Tilda boxes this week, congratulations. They only took a day and they were all gone. Snooze, you lose. But yeah, that was exciting that we've got these beautiful 12 days of Tilda boxes, and Jo is there. She's finished cooking dinner. And I really didn't know whether you'd want these Tilda boxes or not, but snapped up in a day. So that's good. They're gone. Next year we might have to organise a few extras. Other than that, still a few spots left to stitch with me in Adelaide and a few left to stitch in Hobart. So more adding every day, but there's just a few spots left there. So don't be like Janine. Don't be like those that missed out on the Tilda boxes. Don't think too long or you might miss your spot. Okay, that's it from me tonight. Oh, we've been an hour. Sorry, we've been a bit longer. That's probably because I'm here all on my own, so I didn't have to watch the time or listen to any noise out in the kitchen, because Shed Guy is currently in Geelong ready for the grand final on Saturday. That's his annual pilgrimage over there, even though Geelong aren't playing, sadly, but they did get tickets in the ballot, so they've got some good seats up in the members. Exactly, Jeanette. Snooze, you lose. That's right. So I am here all alone. So it's Bentley and I, and Bentley has completely deconstructed his bed again tonight, so that's all right. Okay, watch the footy show. I need to watch the footy show? Okay, go to watch the footy show now, Donna, or you were watching it. Okay. All right, hope you learned a tip or two there. Any requests for next week, let me know during the week and we'll come up with something to show you next week. But that's it from me. I'm going to finish my wine and we will see you all next week.